Well, welcome to the after show.
Here we are.
Here we are. So we were talking about Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
There's a Christmas tree and some decorations in it, but I don't think that deems it.
I
don't want to sit around my Christmas tree and say, oh, here are the spirits of the season as they're yelling something as they're flying off a building.
She's got a great point, and I completely agree with that, because initially I was in the is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I was in the no category. Like, I said no. Then we interviewed the writer of Die Hard, the guy that actually wrote the story. John knows his name. I think it's Jeb Stewart, I believe is his name. Anyway, and so I asked him. I said, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And I prefaced the question by saying, I know you get asked this a lot, okay? And he smiled. Really? Oh, yeah. It's the biggest argument this time of year.
We argue it every year. I'm always against
everybody.
it.
You'll see it on social media. So he looked at me without even hesitating, and he said, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Now, the violence and all that other stuff, because it takes place at a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff kind of, goes off the rails.
I'm adding my opinion, and I have not even watched the movie in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I know what it's about.
Right.
So I didn't realize. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And then the tower.
It does, but I still, I'm not going to get a good, ooey gooey, let's hang out with the family feeling, and that's what I consider a Christmas movie to be.
Like A Christmas Story, which is my #1 Christmas movie. That's a spoiler. You can still watch the backstage experience tonight, 9 p.m. on My 20. 11 a.m. Saturday, My 20. There you go. There we go. We're in sync today.
You're
and Sunday
living
night,
right by getting that
11 p.m.
right
on Fox 26. Set your DVRs for those times right now. It's it's our holiday special. And John and I talk about our favorite Christmas movies, and I'll just spoil it now. My #1 is Christmas Story, because Ralphie was here last year.
Really?
Peter
Missed
Billingsley.
Ralphie. He is adorable. He looks just like he did back then, just adult form, right?
The house is actually in Cleveland. We would do stories about it when I worked in Cleveland. The Christmas Story house is right there in Cleveland. Yeah.
Did you go?
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go. And they had a reunion around the time when I knew I was leaving. I'm like, I never ended up going to the house.
I would love to go to that house. Okay, I'm a late bloomer to that story, because people always talked about it. We're like, Christmas Story, and it's always on around the clock, And I just, maybe in the last 6, 7 years, I watched it for the first time, and now I am one of those that watches it religiously every year.
That's my sister. It's one of her favorite
I
movies.
watched it on a plane the other day.
Really?
Because well, again, we watch every movie. And so, I'm not trying to brag, but
that's your job. That's what you get paid to do.
A couple of weeks ago, and I went through the list of the movies. I'm like, seen it, and it's work. Yeah. Not that and there's some that we really enjoy, you know that.
Sure.
But it's work. So I'm like, although when I do see it for a second time after we've done the interviews, I can really enjoy it because I don't have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I'm working on, when I go to a screening, we're seeing Mean Girls in a week, for example. That interview's coming up.
There's another Mean Girls?
Yes.
Oh, a new one coming out?
And the cast, though, read who's in it. It's awesome. So I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but it's the after show.
Yeah.
And so I have a private screening coming up in a week. But when I go to that, I have to pay attention to make notes.
You probably almost watch the movie thinking, okay, what could I ask about that? Ooh, that would lead to a good question,
That's it.
right? Like,
That's
you're
it.
working it.
That's
yeah.
it.
Do you feel like you watch movies the same way? For example, if I'm watching a movie, do you feel like you can watch the movie regular, or are you thinking about different things when you're watching?
Once you don't have to do the screening.
Yeah.
Oh, after the interview happens?
Yeah.
Oh, then I enjoy it. And so, to your point, I watched La La Land, because I love that movie. And I know I was talking to Emma Stone coming up for Poor Things, and I rewatched, and Ryan Gosling is just awesome. And so he gave me some glasses from the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I tell a lot of stories. One day I'll be sitting on a rocking chair.
You need to write a book.
Yeah, but
all the A-listers he hangs
No.
He's always rubbing elbows.
But I watched Christmas Story on the flight because it's 9 hours, and I'm like, I got to kill time doing something.
Yeah.
And so I watched Christmas Story again, and that's the cool thing about Christmas Story. It's 90 minutes long, basically, and it goes so quick because it's a funny story. But yes, I'm a huge fan. But I only discovered it a couple of years ago. I would love to go to the house, man.
Yep, it's right in Cleveland.
So what are some of your other top ideas for Christmas movies as we wrap up this Christmas season? Only a few days to go to really enjoy them before the holiday gets here?
Well, before we went on the air, John and I were looking at the trailer, the monitor, and you were showing the show, and I saw Elf, and that's one of John's favorite movies. It's not on my list, though. I have Polar Express, I have Christmas Story, I have Christmas Vacation. Okay. What am I? Which Griswold?
God Bless America.
Thank you.
When you're saying the prayer.
Look, whoever's in the booth right now is nailing it. Yeah. Right? See, so there's Elf, and this is exactly what I was watching before we went on the air, and I'm like, James Caan. Yeah, Home Alone.
Did Home Alone make your list? It had to have made your list.
It's not on my list, but it's on John's list. Again, I didn't watch Home Alone until a couple of years ago.
No
I just never.
I didn't watch
the
all
first
of them,
one's
but
the
I've seen,
best
the first
for
one I
sure.
Oh, and It's a Wonderful Life is on my list.
Yeah.
And I love that movie.
Did Scrooge make the list?
Scrooge is not on my list, but It's a Wonderful Life did.
What did you do? Only 5?
Yes, 5.
Okay, your top 5. Okay.
Yeah, and then John did his top 5. But so that's 4. What was it? Oh, that's it. Year Without a Santa Claus, because Rankin Bass did these animated stop motion, type movies years ago, and they're always on. And then Peanuts, of course. But these are just classics that always pop up around the holiday season. But there's the Year Without a Santa Claus. They're the Rankin Bass specials, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, just because they're fun to watch. That puts me in the holiday spirit.
What's your top 5?
I would say Rudolph. Home Alone, I have to see every year.
Okay.
The Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
That's hard.
What about Polar Express? I know it's difficult.
Yeah, I love Polar Express too. Good. What about you? It's hard to just.
It is hard.
It really is.
5.
Yeah.
I have Friday After Next. Have you seen Friday After Next?
Of course.
Friday After Next.
And that is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
You are right.
That's one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Oh, that's going to be added to my list then. Okay.
It's really good.
I've seen it on list.
Hilarious. Friday After Next. This Christmas.
Okay.
Look at him coming up with his own list.
He does have a good list, though. And these are all, I've seen these. Like, when John and I were trying to figure out the movies, you're naming titles that we could pick from. And I'm like, but it's hard when you have to limit it to 5. And you're like,
5.
The Preacher's Wife with Whitney Houston.
Yes.
That one was really good.
Oh, that's right.
That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Home Alone, for sure.
See?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's right. Those are great titles.
A Christmas Story, but I'm a Christmas storied out because my sister will A Christmas Story you out every Christmas. So after a while, it's like, all right, okay.
Oh, that's great.
You'll shoot your eye out. You'll shoot
Notice
your eye.
not one Hallmark movie made the list.
Well, because they show them all year.
Well, because they all
whatever.
sort of have the same plot.
They
have
do.
to admit, they all live happily ever after.
Meet, fall in love.
Very, very far from Die Hard.
Very, very fun. That's like
One extreme to the
Be a
others.
Christmas movie.
I don't want to have to turn in my man card, but do you know that I
you'll
went
do
with a
it.
TV provider because I needed to have the Hallmark channel?
Well, this is what you do, though.
You just
so,
turned it in.
Yeah, but I wasn't interviewing anybody. I just like her.
perhaps.
Melissa
Like
knows me.
movies.
She knows me.
I have it running 24/7 in the background when I'm wrapping gifts because you don't have to really pay attention, but you look up and see snow, you look up and see a little kiss. Oh, that's so nice. And it's all good, right?
Graceland Christmas
I've
might be
seen
on
that
Hallmark,
one.
and it takes place at I love Elvis. Hey man, I'm from the South, and I told people years ago, I said, you love your mother and Elvis, and sometimes not in that order. I love Elvis.
Mama Morales better not be
No,
watching.
she's watching.
Now you're just hurting people.
But I watched Graceland Christmas a couple years ago, and actually that's what made me go to Graceland. New Year's Eve going into 2020, there's a picture. I took Mom, and we have our 2020 glasses on at the gates of Graceland, and the caption that I put on social media was, "Gonna be a great year." Was I wrong? But that's Melissa, you've got to find that one. Graceland Christmas. I think it's on Hallmark.
No, I think I've seen it.
I like it.
I'm quite sure I've seen every one of them.
Right, with the Hallmark movies, it sounds like you are the expert at Hallmark movies.
Yeah, it usually involves a bakery or a Christmas fair party or
ski lodge.
All the same.
Ski lodge.
Lots of ski lodges.
Yes. But you're right.
12 actors, 15 directors, and 2 plots.
Oh my goodness.
But you're right, because
No,
you can.
I love it. I'm giving it a hard time. But
The snow and they always have cocoa and cider and oh my gosh, I'm ready for Christmas. I
lots
love
of
this time
sugar
of year.
cookies that are decorated
Yeah.
just right.
Sorry, no, I know we're on the after show, but I have to ask, if you want to share this. You were talking about how you injured yourself skiing. I know completely different, but I heard you say
Good
skiing.
grief. Yes, I got going on a mountain that was too big for me, too big for my britches, feeling like I got these black diamonds, and my knee, when it went. And I was so vain. I didn't want to get surgery and have scars on TV, so I just used crutches for quite a few months and let it heal itself.
When was
So
this?
when I lived in Florida, when I was at Florida's News Channel, so I highly suggest you don't ever do that. What a stupid thing to do. So now it's no big deal. Now I'm fine, but I don't run anymore. It took away a few of my activities by not fixing it.
We used to ski
It's
when I was a
fine.
kid. We'd go to Colorado, and when you're a kid, John Stenvall, my business partner, you've seen him with us backstage. We went to Colorado for flight miles a couple of months ago because he said, this is where I go, and I saw like Keystone, Copper Mountain, those areas where we used to go ski. And I'm looking at it as a grown-up, I'm like, what was I thinking? You have no fear as a kid, because my brother and I would just do these dangerous slopes.
And all mountains aren't created equally either. I mean,
True.
some of them are a lot more advanced than others.
But no fear. And when I saw him recently, because we went for the day to Denver, flight miles. I'll explain that off the air.
Excuse
when
me.
When you're trying
I'll
to chase
say-
status, you find a cheap flight
That is
to
true.
get the miles.
That is
yeah.
true.
So we did that. And so we drove by, because John he's the hiker and mountain climbing, and I'm just, at the bottom, I'll just cheer him on. I'm like, way to go, dude. You can do it. Drinking hot chocolate. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, you can do this. I just don't do that. So we drove by some of the ski lodges that we used to go to as a kid, my family, and I looked at the mountains, and I'm like, I did that?
Oh my goodness.
Because I don't know if I would do that now as a
Do you
grown-up.
ski?
So I've never skied. I'm not sure if I will ever do it because I was snowboarding. This just happened a couple of years ago. Snowboarding. Took my, we're not together anymore, former girlfriend. We went for Valentine's Day to go snowboarding.
Nice.
And we did not take the snowboarding classes because the classes were sold out, but I wanted to snowboard. She wanted to snowboard. Cool, so we did that. We were on the practice slope. And I'm sitting down, I was in front of her on the slope. I was sitting down like with my hands, holding myself up, sitting down on the ground, waiting for her to come down. And she came down, remember my arms are back like this. She came down and she couldn't stop and slammed into my arm. Obviously it was an accident, and it hurt at the time, but I didn't really know how injured I was until I'm like, why does my sleeve feel wet? Blood.
Oh, Delon.
Gushing out of my arm. Like, she was like mortified. I'm like, it's fine. So they take me to the medic.
Most romantic date ever.
They had to lay her down in a bed because she was so mortified and like felt so bad. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm injured. She laying over here like she's a patient. So we were there for literally maybe 20, 30 minutes. We didn't even get off of the practice slope.
Oh,
So I still have
that
the
was
scar. If I
it.
didn't have this, I could show you. It's still like a scar. It's not as bad though, but we had to go to urgent care. They gave me stitches. That was a Valentine's Day, and I'm sure she will never
Well,
forget.
we're used to
and I won't
Valentine's Day being all painted in red, but I think blood's taking it to the next level.
Well, there you go, and the stitches. She will never forget. I remember
You know
I called
what?
my mom. She
That's
was
a
like,
plot
"What
for a
the fuck?"
Hallmark movie.
Literally.
I don't think so.
Luckily, we had been together for a while, so it wasn't like a first date
Yeah.
or something. We had been together for years, but yeah, she.
Hallmark movies are not violent like
No,
that.
no,
That
no.
was
But
violent.
see, well, something happens, and
Well,
then they
let me
work
tell
it
you-
out.
Hey, I mean, Die Hard is a Christmas movie to you, so hey, look.
That's true.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're okay.
I've never gone
We're good.
snowboarding. Is it difficult?
It is so hard.
I thought it was going to be easy because I'm like, you just balance yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. And everybody was like, you should have went
with your
skiing.
legs being strapped and your feet being strapped in there. My kids snowboard, and I just watch, and it's incredible. It's hard.
I don't very
know
difficult.
if I could do that again. I'm terrified to look at the mountains that we used to ski, and I'm like, I did that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I'm okay on skiing. or
No
something.
Okay.
injuries for the holidays if you were all going skiing. I have so many friends heading to the slopes right now, so don't blow out your knee like me. I think we're out of time.
Okay.
Time to get to the newsroom and get busy. I got a story to write.
All right.
Tomorrow, everybody, tune in. I'm going to teach you how to get rid of Wiggle, the jiggle in your wiggle. That's the little tune. No more jiggle in your wiggle. No
Okay.
more jelly in the belly
No
for
more
Santa
jelly.
Claus. We're going to tighten it up, tone it up. 5 different ways to make it go away.
Okay.
All right, how's that for a tease?
Hey.
All right, we'll see you back here
Woo.
at noon, and
We
then see you
love
back here in the
crew.
morning for
Sorry
her
we're
story.
not Nate the Great, but we love you guys. Thanks for making it happen. Bye. Merry Christmas.
Stress Japan's commitment to continue addressing the Syrian crisis together with the council, including 5 new members. Thank you, Mr. President.
Agradezco al
I thank Japan for your statement and I give the floor to the United Arab Emirates.
Sayyid al-Rais.
Mr. President, I thank Mr. Geir Peterson and Ms. Dalton for their briefings today. As this is our last meeting on the Syrian political and humanitarian file during the UAE term at the Security Council, allow me to share a few of our thoughts on this file. Since 2014, the main focus of this Council has been to meet the needs